Hi everybody. I'm going to get the live stream up on my other monitor here. Let's see. All right. Well, in the yeah. So hi everybody, all 8 of you. Ooh, 11 now. All right. Hi Jeff. Hi Funniest Stream, Giuseppe, Luca, everybody. All right. So, this is my home office / recording studio. You can see my part of my backdrop over here. And just in case you're able to see it in high enough definition, these are my wife's romance novels. Whole shelf of them right here. They're not mine, I swear. Thank you, Giuseppe. All right. I'm glad you're here too. This is my first time going live, like I said. I have very little idea of what I'm doing here in terms of live streaming. So there's no... She wrote all those? No. She has read them, though. Yes, I rolled somewhere between a 1 and a 10, I think, on deception there. I'm doing just fine, Sam. How are you? And how's everybody else doing? So, today I just wanted to do just kind of a hangout. You're running the Feast of St. Andrew tonight. Good luck with that. And hello to you in Poland as well. Chilling at work, slow on a Friday. I get that. This is actually my lunch hour here. So, I mean, you may not be surprised. I don't know. But I don't do Lunch Break Heroes full time. I actually have a real job. Oh, thank you so much, Huzzah. I appreciate that. And let's see. Thank you for the help, Curse of Straw guys. What do you recommend for the bride's class levels? Oh my gosh. That is an excellent question, and I don't know off the top of my head. So we want to say that Ludmilla is a magic user. The party will probably encounter her somewhere around levels 7 to 8, because they're on the way to Amber Temple for Ludmilla. So you want her somewhere in that range so that she can pose a credible threat. Anastasia is going to be lower because they encounter her maybe around level 5, if not earlier, for the Feast of St. Andrew. And then Volenta is going to be like much closer to Strahd's level in terms of how she can handle the party. She's a lone combatant, so she's got to be a higher level and really be able to hold her own up there in the Heart of Sorrow. That's kind of like her lair. We were actually going to have lair actions for her, but we had to cut that due to layout sizing in the PDF and whatnot. And yes, Jeff, I do get a lunch hour. Yep. I work in software, so, you know, they tend to let us go off and eat occasionally. Yeah, silly work, interfering with my D&D. Just finished Durst Manor with my players of the best D&D session of their life. Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you, and I'm really glad that was a great session. I think everybody that has touched Death House has helped to make it just a little bit better. Myself and Mandy and Dragna and all the other folks that we've drawn inspiration from. Katie, Argon Vostald's probably one of my favorite set pieces too. And it was honestly one of the hardest to come up with changes for. Lots of messages. This is great. Starting Curse of Strahd campaign tonight. Good luck, Katie. For the 4th time, Sam. Seriously, wow. That's an accomplishment right there. Firmware engineer, occasionally, yes. By the way, honestly, so much more attention for the quality. I agree, Giuseppe. I'm highly biased in my opinion on that, though. But you know what? Sharing the channel out to anybody that you think might be interested is a fantastic way to help us get exposure and help us grow. Volaki. Humant. Yeah, Volaki's a lot of fun. Very daunting if you've never done it before. But take your time, spread things out, and things should be okay. Curse of Strahd Patreon, never. You recently replied to my very wordy question online gaming on Patreon. Iolus. Yeah, hi Iolus. Yeah, no problem. I'm always happy to talk to patrons and really anybody in general. Let's see. Random version of Death House with Gibbering Mouther. I was scared of killing one of my players. Didn't even manage to touch the party. Ouch. That's unfortunate. I would have hoped that the Gibbering Mouther would have been a bit more dangerous. The Gibbering Mouther is actually in there because I really had to try hard to differentiate that version of the guide from Mandy's. Mandy did such an amazing job. Like, her version is basically canon in my head, but I needed something to stand on its own and be a part of raising the stakes. So hopefully I was able to create something worthy of standing next to what she created, but I mean, adjust it to your needs. And Dan, I am so jealous of you running Buster. I've never gotten to run Buster. I came up with Buster after I ran the tower, and I'm jealous of every single person that gets to run Buster. He's literally my favorite NPC, but I've never run him. Jesse just finished the Abbey of St. Markovia. I'm glad you like the abbot. He was a very, very fun character to play. But unfortunately, my players murdered him straight off the bat. They're like, this dude's evil. Let's stab him in the face. And he didn't last long, unfortunately. He survived the fight. He ran away after getting hit with a lightning bolt from Esmeralda. But he really kind of never came back up. Yeah, Argynvostholt. Yeah, Nethar. Yeah, hopefully you'll get to do it again. And Argynvostholt's a lot of fun if you can get the characterizations and fill it out to where it's more than just a whole bunch of empty rooms. Hey, yo, Tamir. Just out of curiosity, what is my thoughts on Viktor Volakovich? Viktor can go a lot of different ways depending upon what you do with him. He could either be this whiny teenager that is of absolutely no consequence, like, get out of my room, you're not my real dad. Or he could be one of the most powerful and useful magic users that your party is likely to encounter. I mean, let's say you don't do the Mad Mage, then Viktor is the only other credible spellcaster besides Strahd and maybe Ludmilla and Babla Zaga. Anyways, he's the only friendly spellcaster besides your own party that you're likely to meet. Had to gate off half the Volaki for their first session there just to make sure I was prepared for what they chose to do. Yeah, that's a very viable Grand Theft Auto-esque kind of strategy. Put up those barriers, collapse the bridges, and then make sure that they do some of the other content first. Let's see. Party loves Buster. They're trying to figure out... I thought I wrote that he was affixed to the tower with sovereign glue, but maybe I was just making that up. I forget. People are always trying to get Buster out of the tower and get him a body, which is a good sign. That speaks well to Buster's character. Getting ready to start... Oh. My studio light ran out of battery. I guess I should have plugged that in. Getting ready to start the PC's entrance into Barovia on Sunday, and your videos have been amazing in helping me prep. Well, Nicole, I'm very glad I could help, and good luck to you. Question for now. My party is allied with Esmeralda, okay, aka Rally. Is that a nickname? They're now at the tower. Buster is awesome. What do you think Van Richten is up to after he had to escape Vallaki due to issues? Oh, that is an interesting question. I don't really know off the top of my head what Van Richten would be up to. He's only really got one safe hole, and that's the tower. So maybe he rolls up at the tower while the party is there. I think that's actually what I had my party do. They went to the tower with Esmeralda, or no, they actually went there with Rictavio / Van Richten. He rescued them from the Feast of St. Angelo as the town was burning. And then Esmeralda, when they were at the top of the tower, just started poking around and finding the journal entries, and she figured it out. She pieced it all together, and she's like, "You bastard! How dare you!" And they got into this row, and then eventually, metaphorically kissed and made up, and it was an interesting scene. But they were none too happy with one another, or at least Esmeralda was none too happy with Van Richten. Let's see. My players in my Curse of Strahd game are interesting. Lawful Evil Battlemaster Tiefling, Lawful Neutral Fiend Warlock, True Neutral Cleric, both halfway through the campaign, and they've survived being evil? That's interesting. I've heard some great stories about evil campaigns, but none of them end well. Don't forget about Casimir. Casimir who? Sorry, I've never had Casimir in my game. I've never really had an occasion to. I was going to start Curse of Strahd last October, but pandemic. Yeah. Currently, campaign is 75% done and delayed a year. More time to plot, I guess. So, Patron Pendrake, you've had your game paused at 75% for a year? What about online games, Roll20 and all of that? So Tamir is asking, do you have an idea or perhaps tips on how to run Father Lucian as a vampire? In my eyes, I'd run him still having his nature and faculties. Okay, all right. I think I know who you are from Discord. Father Lucian as a vampire. Well, I would play him as extreme. One, I would try to figure out why he has his mental faculties still when other vampire spawn don't. Because then you might run into the questions of, well, what's the difference between a vampire spawn and a consort that has their mind, and what's special about Father Lucian? But once you've got that sorted out, or you've hand-waved it away, I would play Father Lucian as very conflicted. Because if he's still got his mental faculties about him, then he's still a man of God. But he's this monster now. So what sort of conflict does this monster of God have raging inside? And how does that play out externally in his relation to the characters and other NPCs? What is the minimum level a party of 5 could be before taking on Baba Lysaga? Just off the top of my head, Gaffageldi, I would say 5 or 6. 7's probably better. But then again, it's a party of 5, so the action economy is very much in their favor. But that Treehouse of Terror, oh, that thing's a bitch. One flying boulder and things don't go so well. Vatico Riff says, hey, thank you very much for your wonderful content. Your videos were of immense help when I first started Curse of Strahd. What are your thoughts on the upcoming guide to Ravenloft? Vatico and everybody, I'm freaking excited. I want to see what's in this book. I'm dying to see what's in there. And I really want to get an advanced review copy, but I can't freaking figure out who to talk to. I've been reaching out to everybody I know of. I literally called up Wizards of the Coast and I trolled their LinkedIn page to find their head of influencer marketing. And I called up their switchboard and I'm like, hey, can I talk to this guy? And the switchboard guy's like, is this a sales call? I said, absolutely not, which it's not. And they transferred me through, but the phone connection was weird. I kept hearing dial tones on my end, and eventually he hung up on me. Whether because he knew he was talking to a YouTuber that he'd never heard of, or because the connection was crappy, I don't know. I haven't called him back since. But I want to get an advanced review copy. Really small channels are getting Candlekeep Mysteries early, and I have to wonder how. All right, let's see. La 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 la. I'm trying to go through all the questions here. All right. Love your guides' vids. Maybe you can give me a quick idea for Portal Q Carp. A quick idea? Of what? Dan Sheridan here. Most of my groups have serious issue with Van Richten's racism towards the Vistani. They tend to classify him in a villainous light. Yeah, that is something that's unique to 5e. In previous versions, Van Richten wasn't racist. He didn't have a tiger that committed hate crimes. So you could go either way with that. You could either kind of rev him back to a previous edition Van Richten and make him, you know, a morally gray kind of character, or just roll into it. And I think Van Richten can even be kind of like a mini bad guy in the campaign. Let's see. I'm wondering, why didn't you use MandyMod's Fanes of Barovia questline? I'm planning to implement this and I'm very curious about your point of view. So I didn't do that for practical reasons and personal preference. I ran Curse of Strahd primarily during my lunch game at work, and I didn't want to bloat the game with extra content. There's already a lot there. So putting the Fanes in there would have just complicated things and made it messy, and I didn't want to do that. On a personal level, I think the Fanes are a bit more than I want to put into it, especially when creating my guides. When creating Raising the Stakes, or Revamped as I used to call it before Wizards of the Coast did what they did, you know, I need to create something that's original. I can't just take from MandyMod and all of that, as good of content as it is. So we needed to do something different. I wanted to stay a bit closer to the source material rather than make up whole swaths of new lore. All right, so Martin Mayer says, planning a first encounter with Strahd for my party. Any tips? I don't want to kill them. If it's a first encounter, don't lay a finger on them. Talk to them. Make it a social interaction. Intimidate them. Make it clear that Strahd knows... Yeah, make it clear to them that Strahd is boss and he can kick their ass. He's choosing not to right now. Let's see. Perhaps extreme faith. Okay, better talk about Father Lucian there. Great suggestions. Christian Taylor. What is a good way to get your players to talk to Blinsky? My party never had any reason to interact with him, so they never got his quest. Get them to talk to Blinsky. I think the best way is to bait them into his shop. So they're walking through the town square and you tell them that they see this doll or this puppet in the window and it looks really familiar. Either it looks like Irina, if that's who you're traveling with, or it could look like one of the player characters if you're kind of subbing Irina's backstory out, her relationship to Isaac. And then they kind of have to go in. I mean, there's this doll that looks like a party member. Why would you keep walking? And then they get to go in and he's no fun, he's no Blinsky. Come on, you see what you like. Buy as much as you can. Nobody else is buying anything, please. I can't make rent this month. Casimir Velikovny is wounded. You meet in the Vistani camp. Okay. Oh, I scrolled down way too far. Xbox Games. Hello, Joe. Nice to meet you here. Dan Sheridan, Love Gods, and okay, sorry, I'm scrolling through here trying to find where I left off. The chat window just like jumped straight to the bottom. My party doesn't have a clear leader role character and is simply wallowing with moving forward. The obvious goal is escape, which no one, of course, has a way to do, but they are more happy to flee. I don't know what to tell you about that. You could introduce a DMPC. Maybe Esmeralda or Van Richten comes in and takes over as leader. and then maybe try to groom one of the other characters, I guess. That's just an idea off the top of my head. It might not be a good one. Gaffigeldi says, thank you. I've been making some changes to the order of the campaign and have them going to Argynvostolt right after Vallaki, and probably Berez right after that. My party actually went to Argynvostolt while they were in Vallaki, and they got trounced. They had to run. They eventually came back after, you know, they gained like 3 levels. Christian Taylor, I had him at the feast. Okay. Somebody with a Russian name that I cannot pronounce. I used to be able to read Cyrillic a long time ago. I was studying Russian back in college, just on my own, not for a class. I used to be able to read this, but I cannot pronounce it anymore. Thank you for inspiration and tips. You gave me the courage to start the Curse of Strahd campaign. Any ideas for player character plot hook as a Barovian savage from the mountains? Ooh, Barovian savage from the mountains. Plot hook. Maybe they have been determined to have Kavan's spirit living on with him. Maybe there's like this Dalai Lama-esque reincarnation thing going on, and they have been chosen to go and push back the darkness or try. Maybe many of them have done before, and it's basically a suicide mission. They're like, hey, you're the living embodiment of Kavan. GTFO, see you again never. Good luck. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and hopefully things go even better. Vasilka, she has bits of various Tatiana reincarnations with her. I let the party stir them up as memories within her, made her very wildly in personality, depending upon which one is stirred up. That's an interesting take, Mark. Kind of like a Sybil multiple personality thing going on there. Deck of Many Quests question. Do you have some sample of the cards? I'm a backer and I find it really interesting. Yes, there is actually a 10-page sample in one of the updates. And I'm going to be building some quests here in just a little bit. Michael says, fun fact, playing in Poland, I have a problem with accents for Barovians and Strahd because for us, Russian-type Strahd voices sound like drunken bus driver from the country. Too close to home. I can imagine that's the same with a lot of the names in there as well. So over in Eastern European countries, you've got a lot of people with very similar surnames or even first names to what's featured in the book. So it would be like us in America playing an adventure, and we're going up against Dark Lord Bob and his henchman Carl. It just doesn't hit. So I'm curious, what kind of names in like Eastern Europe and whatnot would you prefer to see? What would make an impact and make it feel otherworldly? Would it be Bob and Carl, or would it be something different? Iola says, there seems to be some overlap between people who play D&D and board game enthusiasts. You play anything besides Harry Potter or Trivial Pursuit? I actually don't play that many board games, unfortunately. I wish I played a lot more. There's actually some board games up here that are still in the packaging. Harry Potter Death Eaters Rising. We bought it. It looks cool. I have no idea what's in it. We've played a couple more of them one time, but at the end of a long day, sometimes you just want to watch some TV and crash, and a lot of times I'm working on Lunch Break Heroes, so time is not something that we have a lot of around here. I always run Strahd as casually powerful. Yeah, that's a good air to have about him, Katie. Play Van Richten. Nethar6 says, play Van Richten as a villain if he isn't drawn as an ally in the card reading. Tone him down if he is the ally. My party did draw him, but ended up not working with him due to his views. That's reasonable. Bunny says, oh, by the way, I sent my Curse of Strahd playlist earlier on Discord. Were there other songs you were confused of? No, nothing that was really confused of. It's not music that I would choose, personally, but that's okay. Everybody runs a different game, and that's the beauty of D&D. You could have a different tone to suit your table, your personal tastes, and your party's tastes. In my own game, for my Strahd theme, I used the Hearts of Stone song from the Hearts of Stone soundtrack. Witcher 3 by Marcin Prosiewicz. And I made a heavy use of the Macbeth soundtrack by, I forget his name, but it was the 2015 movie with Michael Fassbender. All right. Another 6. Be careful, I had my party fight Strahd at level 7. Ooh, ow. Only intending it to be a scary wake-up call, but nearly TPK'd them because they refused to back down. That is a definite problem, yeah. Did I run Avernus and Mad Mage? No, actually, I've not run Avernus. I fully intended to run Avernus, and that was going to be the next module that I did a guide for. But Rime of the Frost Maiden came out, and I saw it. I thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to play it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm running a Rime of the Frost Maiden game, and it's going really well. I'm really enjoying Icewind Dale as a setting, and my players are having a blast, and my wife is really enjoying listening to it like it's a radio play. So, Fish of Moo says, my players immediately blame Blinsky's freakish doll for Mary's madness. I don't know why. That is a very large logic leap there. Oh, this is Ivan, by the way. Hi, Ivan. Fish of Moo actually put together my dice tray. I don't think I can physically reach it because I am tethered to my camera by a microphone cable. So I can't go get it, but it's really cool. Check out their work, c4labs.com. They're actually the ones that made my dice coasters. I'm going to get you a closer up view of these real quick. So these nifty little things here from the Deck of Many Quests. There's a nice acrylic bottom there. All the symbols from the deck are laser etched right there into walnut. They're gorgeous. Love them. Tamir says, how would you custom make a dark gift to a PC? I'm still wrestling with the idea to make it memorable but not too overbearing. It really depends upon the backstory. So, for example, my party had a cleric of Eldath. Now, Eldath is the goddess of peace. So having somebody, that worships the goddess of peace going through Barovia trying to talk people down and reluctantly having to smash their faces in with a hammer was really interesting. Thank you very much, Grunt McNeil. Appreciate that. And, I was able to take that peace motif and turn it on its head. So I gave the cleric a dream sequence in which she saw what was ostensibly Eldath, her goddess. But it was really a vestige in disguise, playing tricks on her. And it basically boiled down to, you can bring peace by killing everybody. Death is peaceful. Nobody will be fighting anymore, so burn them all. And the cleric accepted the gift and woke up with just these burns all over her body and the ability to cast, I forget what spell it was, but it was quite a high power fire-based spell. Unfortunately, that character died midway through the campaign at Berez, but that was really little fun little sequence for us. So dig into their backstories and see what you can twist and corrupt. Charles says, prepping a party to begin the adventure within the few months, and for some reason 3 are choosing to run Druids. It seems like a natural fit for integrating with Yester Hill. Please share thoughts. I mean, you could make them natives of Barovia. You could also have them be part of the other Druids, not other Druids, but the Kavani tribe. So the Kavani in my guide were one tribe a long time ago, and they had a schism where one sect supported Strahd and the other one didn't. So you could have them be members of that peaceful sect, and I think it could work out really well. One of my players decided to take all of the lesser gifts in the Amber Temple, while 2 other players took 2 of the greater gifts, caused a rift in the party, and they ended up killing each other's PCs. Well, that just sounds like a really good time. Christian Taylor says, thank you for the info. I got one more question. I have a very hard time connecting. I have a very hard time scrolling. I lost your question. Very hard time connecting with the Ismark character. Any tips on how to flesh him out a bit more to make my party like him? No, not really. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Irina and even Ismark to a lesser extent are the weakest points of this entire module. You show up in Barovia and you're expected to take on this fetch quest and care about this girl that Strahd wants to turn, and her brother's like, "Yo, can you help us? Can you help us?" And I think they're holdovers from the 1970s where everything was a much simpler in the module, and there's just not a lot of depth to them. So I guess my only real suggestion is to try to spend a bit more time in the village of Barovia to where they can interact with these characters, get to know them, and maybe even start to care about them a bit. Dan Sheridan says, a player death routed players to the abbot for resurrection purposes. He agreed to do it, but only in exchange for a face. Yep, that's about the speed of it. Sam Reed asks, what are my thoughts on Escher, the bard consort of Strahd? I had one person say, oh, so he's a much more accomplished Cato Kalin, and that just tickled me. Yeah, he's kind of like a D-list celebrity in Strahd's court, you know? He's nice to look at, he's fun to listen to, but everybody just kind of tolerates him. Escher knows that he's on the back burner and the next to go into a coffin for all of eternity, so he really is hard up to get the players to kill Strahd, because he knows what's in store for him if he doesn't. Mevru says, thank you for all your wonderful ideas. You're quite welcome. My party recently got TPK'd at Berez after advancing the storyline quite a bit. Any ideas on how to introduce a new party and not have them wander aimlessly? Ooh. It could be a party of natives. If you didn't explicitly say that they were killed, then they could be captured by Baba Lysaga and twisted to her own ends, and then they have to escape. So there's options there. Harm Khan, have you ever had players sending letters to outside Barovia using Vistani as deliverers? Oh my gosh. I'd never thought of that. That's freaking genius. No, I've never had that happen. That's actually, wow. I'm floored by that. I never thought of that. All right, Breno says, when I DM Curse of Strahd, I made the Vistani Spanish and Strahd Italian. Okay. It's very interesting to see what accent changes people make all throughout the world. Here in America, all dwarves are Scottish, and in Scotland, dwarves probably don't sound like that. So it's interesting what the different takes are. Tamir, non-Curse of Strahd question. After finishing Rime of the Frostmaiden, what would you think would be your next adventure to alter revise? Well, obviously, I want to pay attention to the Ravenloft book that's coming out, but I don't really know what the content is. I think I want to do something that has a big user base, because quite honestly, nobody's watching the Rime of the Frostmaiden videos. I make them at this point kind of when I feel like there's something to add to the story, like the Cauldron Caves. They needed a bit extra, so I added it and I made a video. But there's not really a big audience there. Some people get a kick out of it and they watch it, but Curse of Strahd is really where it's at in terms of the audience. And that's what we focus on at this point. I want to do something that has a large player base, maybe like Tomb of Annihilation, or one of an older modules like Storm King's Thunder or Out of the Abyss or something like that. I am open to suggestions. Let's see. Grunt says, starting Curse of Strahd with existing characters from Lost Mines of Phandelver. Okay. Three Quarters Hospital retracted their message. Giuseppe says, you keep referring to your channel as we. Do I collab with someone on the channel? You know, Giuseppe, it's there are multiples of us, but it is mostly the royal we. I am the only full-time employee of Lunch Break Heroes, but I do work with two writers, Holly and Sven. So they're both very talented, and I love what they help me do, because writing is the slowest part of the whole process for me. And speaking of, hello, Holly. Yes, Rime is a lot of fun. Let's see here. Taylor, Holly loves Ismark. Bye-bye, Iolus. Another one scary fun thing about Ravenloft. Okay. Possibility. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. And if I skip your question, I apologize. Go ahead and re-ask it. How would you run the Schism Sunblight Zardarok himself? 3/4 Hospital? I don't know yet, to be perfectly honest. There's still a lot of... my players are still in Chapter 1 of Rime of the Frost Maiden, so I've got time to figure all that stuff out. Let's see here. Where does the name Lunch Break Heroes come from? That is a great question, Harm. So... I, of course, played a lunch break game at work. We played for about 45 minutes. And then one of my players, Xfox Games, actually, if he's still here, say hi, came up with the idea of live streaming it, which I thought was an intriguing idea. So I kind of wanted to explore that. And it got me thinking along the lines of making videos. So I made a video. I wanted to, like, teach Dungeons and Dragons to new players and whatnot, at the same time ingraining some of the ideas in my own head. So I made a video about how death saves work, because I was kind of hazy on how they worked at the time. And I released that on December 3rd, 2018. Shortly after that, I got to thinking more and eventually came up with a name. You know, I'm playing it during lunch and we're heroes, so we are, you know, it's kind of like Weekend Warriors, but we're lunch break heroes. And that's where it came from. Scrolling back up here a smidge. I have this vision of dovetailing Rime of the Frostmaiden into a high level version of Out of the Abyss. You could certainly do that. The Underdark is... there's multiple entrances into the Underdark in Rime of the Frostmaiden. So that's very viable. Let's see. Have you thought to cater a player audience instead of a DM audience? Perhaps reviewing classes, races, items based on Curse of Strahd. Giuseppe, interesting question. Not really. I see myself as more of a storyteller. In fact, in terms of mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons, I wouldn't even consider that a particular strength of mine. Like, if you ask me what I think about the mechanics behind a Kenku Druid, I'm just going to have to stare at you blankly, because I don't know. But if you want to know my thoughts on, you know, creating a multi-part narrative arc and adapting it to your party, then I'm totally down for that conversation. The mechanics of the games isn't really the most interesting thing for me. So I focus more on story, and in that regard, Dungeon Masters are my target audience. In my last Curse of Strahd, I had one of my players give the abbot her tail and horns. That is very selfless. What's my dog's name, and is he still a good boy? Riley. Oh, actually, I think Riley's outside. I put him out back. His name is Riley. He's a purebred golden retriever. And yes, he's a very good boy. We're actually going to be getting a golden doodle in the next couple of months here. We put a down payment on one of them with a breeder. So we will get to pick the golden doodle that will become Riley's friend very soon. Big fan of Curse of Strahd rewrites, especially gave the brides more character and changed the location of the skull. Thank you, Raph. About to run Descent into Avernus. Any advice? Watch Mad Max Fury Road, Marcus. Because Descent into Avernus is basically Fury Road in hell. What does Vlad Horngard sound like in your game? Vladimir Horngard sounds deep and dry. He's dead, and he's got this menacing voice. So that's what Vladimir sounds like. Jeff wishes his group could be disciplined enough to get some actual gaming in an hour. Tends to take us an hour and 45 minutes to actually get going. I would say that if you had those constraints breed limitations. So if everybody were aware of, hey, we've only got 45 minutes, they're going to cut the BS and they're going to get right down to brass tacks. So, I mean, the format really changes your game when you do it that way. Icaro asks, have you ever thought of creating content not from modules, like expanding things that 5e doesn't, like the Feywild locations or Darkhold or whatever? Funny you should ask, Icaro. On the Lunch Break Heroes Discord, we actually have community contests going right now. The first one started in February. We called it Feywild February. And folks could enter in by submitting a 500-word treatment for a one-shot adventure. I picked my favorites, and we're going through the editing process. I'm helping them create a more fleshed out adventure. And then I'm going to be doing the layout, the editing, and the artwork, and we'll be releasing that for free for a limited time to our patrons. And then after about a week or so, it's going to disappear from Patreon and move over to DM's Guild, where it will be for sale. And we're going to be doing something this month. The contest ends on the 15th for March Monster Madness. It's one-shots that center on monsters, but not monsters that can be defeated in the typical fashion. So hitting it with a sharp stick over and over and over again is not going to kill it. We want to do something more witchery, you know, where you have to investigate it, find out the monster's weaknesses, and do something non-conventional to defeat this monster. Harm asks, what modules have you DM'd, played, and have you played any homebrew campaigns? Not as many as you might think. So I've done Lost Mines of Phandelver, Curse of Strahd. I've been a player in Sunless Citadel and Rime of the Frostmaiden, and ta-da, that's the extent of my D&D module experience. I've been playing RPGs and role-playing for over 20 years, but Dungeons & Dragons actually only became a thing for me back in late 2017. Oh, have I ever considered streaming a Curse of Strahd campaign with all the changes? It is, yeah, I've kind of considered it, but I just don't know what the viewership is for that and whether or not it would be worth everybody's time. So I don't really do Twitch, so I mean, maybe viewership on Twitch is a lot higher. Live streams on YouTube, they aren't viewed that much. Even Twice Bitten, which is a wonderful show, their views really fell off after the first couple of episodes. If you want Curse of Strahd run just like rules as written by very, very talented people, check out Twice Bitten. But running a live stream for me is more than just getting around a table and playing your game in front of cameras. A good live stream is a performance. Not in so much that you all have to be professional voice actors like on Critical Role, but there has to be considerations for creating entertainment, not just for the people that are at the table, but for people watching. And there's a lot that goes into that doesn't go into just a normal home game around the kitchen table. Any thoughts on the Feywild UA that was released? Greg, I actually have not had the time to read it. So, no, not yet. Bunny Barbarian says, I'm considering doing an anniversary game next year for Curse of Strahd. Which domains do you think would be good for a similar but really new game? 60-second vids have helped. I am drawing a blank on the domain names right now. Falkovnia is actually my favorite domain at this point. Not because of the Dark Lord, Vlad Drakov, but just the overall atmosphere. It's so oppressive. I think it reminds me of Barovia in that it beats down the characters and the players, and I'm totally into that. If you want something a bit more lighthearted, then Borka is good. Dimenchlu, which I think is a video that we have coming out tomorrow, maybe, could be interesting. Dimenchlu is basically 1700s France, and I don't know why it's a dread domain, but it could be fun. What do you think about a battle royale for the players in a dream sequence during Curse of Strahd, and winner gets a boon item as a prize? Could be interesting. Could be grindy. I don't know. Try it and report back, Tamir. Twice Bitten. It's a shame that such amazing roleplay is seen by so few. Right? Right? And that's a big reason why I'm very hesitant to do a live stream game. You put in all this effort and then practically nobody watches. So it's a very difficult medium to break into and gain any sort of significant audience. Do you watch any other content creators D&D themed? Giuseppe, you might be surprised. The answer is no. I don't, for the most part. I watch a few videos here and there. Oh, thank you very much, Luca. A few videos here and there from fellow creators. Like I occasionally watch Matthew Perkins or Icarus Games or whatnot. We're all together on a super secret Discord server where we talk shop in here and there. Dungeon Coach is fun. I like working with him and watching his videos every now and then. But by and large, I don't really watch D&D content. For me, the YouTube content I watch is stuff video and photography related. I like a lot of Peter McKinnon. Who's the guy with the glasses? I forget his name. I really like him too. Just the editing. I like... I'm being so terrible with names right now. They're just leaving my head. Yeah, in any case, what do you think the most important quality as a DM? Creativity and adaptability, by far. If you're running a homebrew campaign, you have to be able to create it. If you are running a module, you have to adapt it. Improvisation is key to all of this, and if you can't improvise and you can't adapt, then everybody's going to have a bad time. You don't have to be a great voice actor. You don't have to be a master storyteller, but you do have to have some creativity and you have to be able to improvise. The Dementia Luke vid came out during the stream. Oh, I guess that was today. Did you just slip up and say Vlad Jakov? Yes, and that was actually on purpose. His name is Vlad Drakov, but as a gag during the video, I kept mispronouncing his name. Luca, once again, thank you, Luca. A bit late, but the way I try to make my players care more for Ismark was by having him contract the zombie disease or be captured by Don. That's freaking genius, Luca. I actually hadn't thought of that. Do that. That's canon now. All right. Charles has been channeling the thought of Strahd's voice and persona as somewhere between Hannibal Lecter and Spock. Thoughts? I'm not sure that I can perform that voice personally. But it could work. Hey, Charles, record yourself doing that. I'd like to hear that. Greg Kelly, your 60 seconds of dread description of Barovian Strahd was the funniest and most accurate description I've heard in quite some time. Thank you. Michael, Fro knows photos? What? Words of wisdom. GMJ, I have been fighting integrating Vlad Drakov. Okay. If you want to watch a really good Curse of Strahd playthrough, High Rollers D&D, cool twist. Aren't they actually high? Isn't that the whole bit? Thanks for the Avernus advice. You're welcome, Max. Jason is going to start at the Kresk side. He wants to know what thoughts about starting on Kresk. Kresk makes for a very different start to the game, obviously. If it didn't, why would anybody do it? There's a lot that you have to adapt. I don't have any rock solid advice for that. I think XP to level 3 did, he talked about that quite a bit. So check out his videos. I think there's some good nuggets of advice there. That being said, what do you say we build some quests? So what we have here is the deck of many quests. And by the way, in case you wanted to know, this is the first iteration of the whole deck. The first ever physical prototype. Ooh. The cards were a bit big. Pain in the ass to shuffle. So what we have is 3 separate decks. We have quest cards, item cards, and creature cards. And I should actually put these into camera view or tilt the camera down ever so slightly. So pardon me while I do that. There we go. Oh, by the way, if you guys ever want a cup that keeps things cold for a ridiculously long time, these reduced cups are amazing. Not even shilling. It's just like my favorite cup. All right, so I have no idea what order these cards are in, but just to prove, I'm going to shuffle them. I have no idea what I'm going to get. And we're going to tie it all together. We're going to hopefully have it make sense and make an interesting adventure. Tamir says, roll a D100 and see what you draw, I guess. La 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 la. All right. Quest time. So, our first one is Rich Blood. A group of creature is looking for a lost item. They've kidnapped a noble's daughter and want to ransom her for information. All right. Thanks for the work you do with the videos. It's helped my Curse of Strahd campaign a lot. Well, thank you, Sukahara. I'm glad to help. All right. The creature is going to be a warhound that proved too friendly for his intended job. Very interesting. And the item is Liar Liar. This lyre plays extremely beautiful music without much help, but whenever its owner tells a lie, their pants catch on fire. By the way, I got the idea for this one from the book series that the Black Cauldron is based off of. I forget the name of it. The bard there has a lute. Its strings snap every time he tells a lie, and he has to keep restringing it. So that's where the inspiration for that came in. Hello, I'm not going to buy it, but I just want to say you're awesome. You're awesome. So a group of warhounds that prove too friendly for their jobs is looking for a lost lyre. They've kidnapped a noble's daughter and want to ransom her for information. Okay. So obviously the warhounds aren't very good because they've kidnapped a nobleman's daughter. But why are they doing it? All right. Well, the warhounds have to be sentient or awakened, obviously, because they're doing this. And they've lost this particular lyre. So they're working for a bard, perhaps. The bard is evil, and he wants to make very beautiful music to make money. And it's been lost, and he's got his trusty band of warhounds out and trying to do the deed. So, yeah. Kind of reminds me of that Oliver and Company movie where all the animals were going out, and I don't know, any Disney movie really. I just imagine these three dogs talking to each other. Let's see. What are my thoughts on Rahadin? Rahadin's a really weird character that seems like he was added in at the very last minute. He's not terribly well fleshed out. He's only featured in a little bit of the modules, and why he's there I don't know. He's a fun character to play, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the module could have fleshed Rahadin out just a bit more or involved him in other ways. All right, so next one, Lost Youth. Each week, a child has gone missing from a local village. Rumors and legends point to a creature as the primary culprit. Something doesn't add up, however. So our creature is going to be an awakened hound with another dog? Come on. An awakened hound with a magical collar who refuses to return to its former master. So, let's see. So the legends, of course, probably wouldn't allude to the fact that he has a magical collar and doesn't want to go to his master. So maybe the awakened hound who doesn't want to return to its former master is looking for other playmates? They're taking children. What happens to the children? Oh, I don't know. That's... Looks like a card version of Bait and Tackle. Yeah, kind of. This was actually going to be called Quests Against Humanity at one point, but I didn't want to get sued, so here we have the Deck of Many Quests. Wouldn't you know it, the Deck of Many Things is not trademarked. Go figure. All right, Ethereal Heist. A gang of thieves has gained the ability to cross into the ethereal plane. They've recently stolen an item, and the captain of the guard is hot on their trail. To complicate matters, someone in the gang is close to your party. So they've recently stolen a cloak of full opacity. It's just a normal cloak, but it's got a fancy name to impress the peasants. So I don't imagine that the thieves are going to be terribly intelligent people if they're stealing just normal cloaks based off of a fancy name. But the fact that they have the ability to cross into the ethereal plane is what's really interesting. What has given them the ability to do that? I don't know. But the theft of the cloak could be the catalyst that triggers this whole event. Maybe a charlatan in town has been displaying the cloak of full opacity and getting gold from the common folk that they've been fooling, and they want it back. And you have to go and find these gang of thieves. Unbeknownst to your party, the cloak is just a regular cloak, and they'll find that out later, and maybe they'll feel a bit gypped, or not gypped, that's not a nice word. They'll feel a bit tricked, but yeah. Will there be expansions for the deck? Maybe some campaign-specific cards. You know, Bunny, if we can fund well enough and there is significant social interest, I would love to do expansions. There's tons of possibilities. I mean, can you imagine the deck of many stars catering to the sci-fi crowd? There's gothic horror deck that's basically Curse of Strahd without the name. There's, you know, icy tundra cards that's basically Icewind Dale without the name. Limitless possibilities. So as long as there's significant market interest, yes, I would love to expand this. They never needed the cloak. The power to go to the ethereal plane was inside them all along. You bet it was. Thieves that can go into the ethereal plane but don't have detect magic. You know, I said that they're probably not the smartest people. They're not the sharpest crayons in the toolbox, if you know what I'm saying. The deck of many straws, yes. Maybe a Vampire the Masquerade type cards. That's an idea. Essentially create a custom Strahd for each campaign. Yeah. Mr. Potato Strahd. You just start plugging pieces in there. All right. Happy birthday. A creature has hired your services to acquire item for their leader's birthday party, which takes place in a few days' time. All right. So you have been hired by... All right. So sometimes you're going to get some really weird, nonsensical results. Not like I haven't done that already. If that's the case, draw again. You're not beholden to any of this. In this case, I drew the 5-star dragon here. A lordly dragon that rules its realm from behind the scenes and wants the best for its people. He probably doesn't have a leader to buy a birthday present for. So I'm going to discard that and try again. A house-sized mimic with a temper to match. Maybe there's an even bigger sized mimic or a small mimic that it considers its leader. How they would contact your party, I'm not sure. But they want you to buy a cherished dolly for their leader's birthday party, which takes place in a few days' time. All right. I don't know what anyone can handle more than one Strahd. We won't know until we try. You know, there are so many groups out there that would love to have a whole bunch of Strahds. I forgot that I hadn't backed this project yet. Thank you so much, Jesse. By the way, if anybody else wants to back this project and help us make it a reality, the link is in the description down below. We'd love to have your support, and I've been working on this for months, and I really, really want to make this into a physical product. It is physical, but this is the only actual copy right now. And I want to get it shipped out to backers and possibly even to local gaming stores. And I can't do that without the support of viewers like you, to quote PBS. I'm worried when I introduce Strahd in my game, my players will try to throw quick insults at him. Any tips to make up quick comebacks for Strahd without stammering? Ooh, Air Force Grandpa, I would go ahead and just get really good at saying, I'm rubber, you're glue, bounces off me, sticks to you. Or memorize a whole bunch of Yo Mama jokes. Otherwise, Upcast Fireball at level 5. That usually takes care of shit talking real quick. All right, so everybody, that is my time. That's our hour. Thank you all so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure having you here. This was a lot of fun. I'm going to have to do this again sometime. And yeah, well, yeah, Luca, that's perfectly fine. No worries. If you can't do it, then no worries. You all have a fantastic day, and join us on Discord if you haven't already, and make sure to subscribe. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.